Now, do you believe that resolving the crisis of choosing the Lebanese president should precede a ceasefire as the U.S. administration desires or not? And how can the crisis of choosing a president in Lebanon be resolved?
Well, I think you're looking how to solve this problem. The United States is looking to take advantage of Hezbollah's weakness at this moment after its leadership structure was killed. I don't think that it's either or. I understand that. I think that what the U.S. is saying is the process of selecting a leader is going to take time, and that you can pursue a ceasefire and a new president, but that they want to focus on the long term. Now, what I don't believe is going to be useful is if it seems the U.S. is heavy-handed in the selection or in the process of selecting this new president in Lebanon, because unfortunately the United States doesn't have the credibility it needs to do that.
And how do you view the visit of the U.S. Central Command leader to Israel at this time?
Well, it demonstrates that the Biden administration is trying to use diplomacy, that it's trying to make its argument to the Israelis. But if what Biden says isn't influential with what Netanyahu and Israel does, why would an envoy or a special advisor? I thought it was interesting that when we heard Biden, particularly yesterday, it was reported, he's told Netanyahu not to do this or he doesn't want him to do this. But that's not what he said. He said he hopes Israel should. He said, if I was Netanyahu, none of those things say that he would in any way use U.S. pressure to make Israel do something than what it is already planning to do. Biden is just like a bystander in this situation, and so is his envoy.
Okay, so what are the latest developments on the ground? How do you see the latest developments, especially regarding attempts at Israeli ground incursions along the southern border?
Well, I think one of the things we're seeing is that Israel is finding that this is not going to be the same challenge that they faced with Hamas and Gaza. And particularly if Israel is going to proceed with these operations in Lebanon and presumably a response to Iran, it can't do it by itself. And we're already starting to hear former Israeli officials, maybe anonymous Israeli officials through the media, saying that it won't just need the U.S. support, but it might need the U.S. right there with them. And I think that that's very dangerous for the situation, and it's not in the United States' interest.
What would be in the United States' interest, in your opinion?
I think the United States' interest should be to establish the strategic goals, like we talked about with helping take advantage of this time in Lebanon to select a president. I think that getting the hostages returned and ending the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. I think that de-escalating the conflict in the region so that it doesn't break out into all-out war. I think that's what the United States' mission and goal is. The problem is that anything Israel does that is in contrary to that, the United States won't use this policy to change it. But I think that's what the U.S. is trying to do. And I also believe that they're trying to get our allies, particularly in Europe, to put pressure on Israel and Netanyahu. But once again, we have seen how ineffective that has been over the last year.